Shalom. Welcome back. We are continuing through our listen and learn with visual cues directed Hebrew immersion in the book of Shemot, that's Exodus. Chapter 29. Today's lesson, this lesson will be focused on verse 37, which seems pretty long. We'll see how it goes. Avinu malkeinu ken yehi ratzon ki tishlachna bracha mishamayim mima'al על כל תלמידיי. תעזרנה אותנו, כי אנחנו רוצים ללמוד טוב בעיניך. לעולנו ולך יהיה כל הכבוד. All right, so here we are, verse 37. I'm going to just kind of scan through the Hebrew first, and then we'll come back and translate. Okay. shivat yamim תכפר על המזבח, וקידשת אותו, והיה המזבei'ach קודש, kadashim, כל hanogei'a bamizbei'ach, yikdash. All right. So now let's break it apart. Pick it apart. Let me zoom in for those of you on smaller devices. And again, it's okay if you want to learn just by listening. These lessons are planned to facilitate both major learning types. There are other learning types, not to leave you guys out in the cold, but it's more difficult in an online format to serve the other learning styles. But the primary ones are visual and auditory. So here we are. The first word is in the construct. It's shivat, from shiva, or shiva, which is 7. So 7 of yamim. So yamim is the plural from yom. It's a bit irregular, like you would kind of expect yomim, right? So be careful not to confuse this one for C's. C's usually will have a patach under the yod instead of a kametz. So yamim and yamim, with today's pronunciation, they both sound the same. So 7 of days. 7 of days. Techapel. Techapel. And if you're watching, you'll notice I have kind of a glowing fuchsia, or maybe like a light purple, medium purple color for the dagesh, which is inside of the pei. So this word is in the piel binyan, P-I-E-L, the piel binyan. And it's from the verbal root kaf, pei, resh, kafal, which is to cover, to cover. So this would, in the PL, it's an intensive meaning usually, right? So kipel, so kafal is to cover, kipel is to completely cover, to completely cover. So oftentimes, metaphorically, this is understood as to atone, atone. And it's useful that we understand there's one of the relative languages to Hebrew is Akkadian, and in Akkadian, kiparu, the equivalent verbal stem over there. Oops, I didn't mean to scroll down, sorry. I closed my eyes while I was talking. I do that sometimes when I access memories. It means to purge. So this can be very useful. Rather than translating as atone, sometimes purge makes more sense. And certainly it does in the case of what the object is going to be. So here, te chaper, you shall chaper, you shall atone, completely cover, or purge. Ral, ayin lamed, over or concerning. Hamizbei'ach, hamizbei'ach, the mizbei'ach. I'm Mr. Mizbei'ach. I'm Mizbei'ach. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. So the mizbei'ach, the altar, with of course the root being zayin beit chet. Zavach is to sacrifice. So a mizbei'ach is something on which you zavach, or better, it's something on which you zavach a zevach. So you zavach a zevach al hamizbei'ach, upon the altar. Vekidashta. So again, we have another PL. It's hard to hear if you're just listening. Kidash ta. It's kuf dalet shin is the verb, but we have a strong dagesh in the second root letter. That's your usual key that it's a PL. It's an intensive verbal form. So if it was the basic verbal form, the kal, kadash is to be holy, right? Or to be not easily accessible, like God's sacred name, Yod He, Wow He, right? His name is supposed to not be easily accessible. That's one of the reasons we don't say it in Jewish tradition, except for very specific occasions. So that makes it holy, right? Otherwise, you make it mundane. If you say his name a lot, you're profaning the name. You're making it not holy. You're making it common. Right? So kidash ta. So the PL can mean to sanctify or to designate as holy. All right. Kidash ta means you sanctified or you designated as holy. But then we have the vav conversive, da 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 da, which is going to change that aspect from perfect to imperfect. The kidash ta, and shall designate as holy you, or and shall sanctify you. You shall sanctify, you shall designate as holy. Ot o, aleph tav, so it's the definite direct object marker with a suffix on the end, the o suffix. And the o means him, right? Why is it him? Well, because the O is referring back to hamizbei'ach, which is masculine. It's a he. It's a he. So to be hyper literal, shivat yamim, 7th of yamim days, to chaper, you shall purge, al, upon, hamizbei'ach, the mizbei'ach. Then, or and, kidash ta, you shall sanctify or you shall designate as holy. Him, right? Because the him is the altar, right? Of course, we clean that up in English, but sometimes it's good to be hyper literal. Okay, make sure you're not missing something. All right, continuing. And you'll notice also that was where we had the wishbone if you're watching, right? Which tells us it's the end of the clause, not Santa Claus. Different clause. V'haya, hey, yod, hey. It was, right? It was. But v'haya, and it will be. So it shall be. What shall be? Hamizbei'ach. The mizbei'ach. The mizbei'ach will be kodesh, kadashim. Kodesh, kadashim. Oh, and this kodesh, I should have marked this. Yeah, this is a construct state with the other one. Holy of holies, right? The altar will be holy of holies. So how would you translate that? I would translate that as perhaps completely holy. But you could at least make a footnote or let the people that you're directing your Bible study with or whatever, let them know that literally it says holy of holies. Okay, now what does that mean? The text is going to explain what this means. We're not talking about the place, the holy of holies, right? What the text is saying, it's an extreme holiness, right? And it's going to clarify what that means. So v'aya hamizbei'ach, so the mizbei'ach, hayah, shall be kodesh, kadashim, holy of holies, or holy of holiness. Kol hanogei'a, kol, kaf lamed, anyone or anything, literally, we'll just say literal, all, han, the one, nogei'a. So this is an active participle from the verb naga, nun, gimel, ayin. And if you don't know what this word means, you might have heard it before, and like in just in an English context. So those of you who know me here in purpose, in person, we've interacted, right? If you're female, you'll remember that I'm shomer nega, or some say shomer nagia, right? This means protecting or safeguarding touch, right? Touch, meaning that we don't shake hands, you don't touch. So a man or a woman who is shomer nagia or shomer nega means you don't touch a member of the opposite sex, unless they're part of your family already, right? So, or they're yours, right? You can understand it that way. So it's a hedge, right? It's not like a sin to do that or something, but it's just a hedge. And this is a good mnemonic. If you didn't know that, well, now you get 2 for 1, right? So naga is to touch, right? Noon, gimel, ayin. And when you have a participle in biblical Hebrew, well, specifically in Torah Hebrew will do this a lot. And you put a hey in front of it, you put the definite article in front of it. Well, that could mean a couple different things. Like hanogei'a could be the toucher, right? The one that sounds bad. Beware of the toucher. um, but I'm sorry. But the hey is standing in for asher. Asher, the relative pronoun, aleph, shin, resh. In late biblical Hebrew, we start to see she come in there, right? Like we've seen in Koheleth, in our Koheleth class on Thursdays, Ecclesiastes, where you can say, instead of asher, you could say she nogea, right? But ha nogea, this is how Torah Hebrew will do it. So, kol, anything or any or all, ha, asher, think asher, who nogea, who touch, bamizbei'ach. Bamizbei'ach. So there's 3 words there. The bait is on or against. On or against. Then the means the mizbei'ach, altar, right? So anyone who touches, or anything that touches, or literally all who touch against the mizbei'ach, kol hanogei'a bamizbei'ach. What's going to happen? Yikdash. Yikdash. So don't be confused by this one. If you're watching, okay, you might see the dagesh there in the dalet and think, oh, okay, that's another piel. This is not a piel verb, all right? What's happening here, this is a different kind of dagesh. This is not a strong dagesh. It's not doubling the dalet. This is a dagesh lene, a weak dagesh. Um, and the reason it's here is because the dalet is a begad kefat letter, if you guys remember that rule. Begad kefat. Any letter which makes those sounds, begad kefat, if they are not preceded by a vowel sound, then that weak dagesh just shows up. So what happened if we do the syllabification here? Yikdash. Yik, that's the first syllable. You would draw a line there in between, and then dash is the second syllable. So preceding the dalet is a silent schwa, which makes no vowel sound at all when it's silent like that. Yik. It's not yikdash, it's yikdash. And so that's the only reason the dagesh is there, okay? I just highlighted it to call attention to it. So kadash, the simple form, right? We don't have to worry about kadesh like we had up above, the kidash, not that one. But so instead of designating as holy or causing to be holy, it just means be holy or become holy. So yikdash, he will become holy. So what happens? Kol hanogei'a, anyone who touches bamizbei'ach against the altar, yikdash, will become holy. Isn't that interesting? The power of the altar. All right, let's read through again. This time you try to translate. Shivat yamim techaper al hamizbei'ach. Sorry, that's kind of fast. Shivat yamim. 7 days. Techaper. 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 You shall purge. Ra'al, over. Hamizbei'ach. The mizbei'ach, the altar. V'kidashto. V'kidashto. And you shall, PL form of kadash. So kadash is to be holy, but this is the intensive. You shall sanctify, like cause to be holy. It. V'haya. V'haya. And will be hamizbei'ach. bamizbei'ach, the altar, kadesh, holy of kadashim, holy of holies. Kol hanogei'a, anyone who touches bamizbei'ach, against the altar, yikdash, will become holy. All right, now I will just read it at kind of a normal pace with no special sounds. Do your best to understand. If you got it all in your visual learner, try closing your eyes and just listening this time. If you got it all as an auditory learner, then you might get a little thing extra from just looking if you want to look at the colors and stuff. shivat yamim techaper al hamizbei'ach, וקידשת אותו, והיה המזבח קודש קדשים, כל הנוגע במזבח yikdash. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much. Special thanks to anyone who participates in supporting us. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider uh, sending us a little something, buy me a coffee or something. we really appreciate it. All right. And I will see you for the next lesson. Shalom, shalom.